I'm going to do the first few minutes talking for a little bit.
Perfect.
So we'll
That's perfect.
You're going to do great.
Live.
Hey, good evening, Bobcat Nation. Welcome to another edition of the Bobcat Blitz. I'm Sean Kirkpatrick. Tonight, we are coming to you live from the VPA dance studio here on the beautiful campus of Northport High School, where we are going to do a neat little piece that I personally brought in once I found out that cheerleaders were also in the VPA program. And we're also going to say hello to our last of our series on the youth sports teams that feed into Northport High School. I was able to find them. Northport Youth Basketball. We know they're nomads this season since the gym is down. We're going to get Teddy Deas on here, one of our favorite sons of Northport City, to help us out, explain what's going on with him. But first, we've got live from our mobile Zoom studio, Mr. John Rawlings. John, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing there, Sean?
Well, viewers but know by now, there's a 50-50 chance that if you are doing a Zoom, you might not be in Florida. And it's that time of the year where the adults, rightfully so, get to brag about the generations below them. John, I think you've earned it. Or, I mean, you didn't earn it, but I think you deserve to say who did earn the special day. What do you got going on up there, sir?
Well, I'm actually up with my son, John Jr., and he is getting ready to walk the stage at Kent State University for his master's degree on Thursday. And then he will be off later this summer to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and he will be the backstage theater director at Ball State University. So it's going to be really interesting to see where and what happens. He just got back from Seattle, where he did a presentation, and Caroline traveled with him to Seattle, and that was the week that I spent with my granddaughters and spoiled them to death. But we had a great time, and that being said, we have been blessed with so many athletes from our program this year that we know of. We've got a huge show coming up on the 17th to show some respect for those who have already signed to go into college, don't we?
Yeah, it'll be the 14th, next Tuesday. Yes, sir.
14th,
yes,
I'm sorry. I got too many dates in my head.
That's okay. I think they graduate on the 16th, so we're gonna lose them on the 17th. So it's gonna be Tuesday of next week, the 14th. But yeah, John, you said all season long, it doesn't matter the high school you go to. If you are good and you do the right things, the next level is gonna find you. And I think for your son to come from our little humble Northport City to the master's level and now a director, that's just fantastic. I want to congratulate your family on that. I remember John when he was, I wouldn't say pesky, but quirky, energetic.
He's always energetic.
Yeah, I remember him when he was here. So congratulations to you. But you all, that's a great thing to hear. So yeah. Before we get going, John, we got to tell the viewers, what did you get to do last Wednesday in the pack? I want to say you did a great job. Why don't you tell everybody what that was all about? Wednesday evening.
We've had the sports award banquet, and it was phenomenal. Sean and I got to MC the event, and that next year we're going to work on recording that so that it's forever archived in the history banks. And it was a lot of fun, and that's really what I was talking about at the end of the opening there, that we have been blessed with a lot of athletes who have gone on to the higher levels of college now, or getting ready to go on. But we've been blessed in the past too to have a lot who have left us, and like the Teddy Deas of the world that are coming back and giving aid to the programs to push them forward. So that's also a great thing to see. I think because of our lack of history before, we now have history at the high school that we can count on, because we haven't been around that long as a high school in the grand scheme of things. So having senior classes who are graduating now at master's degrees and beyond, and then coming back and showing their love and support back to the school, that's a huge thing. So that's what we did. And Sean was the voice last week. And
I had the easy part. I just read their
names. The privilege of doing
you had to come up with all the funny things.
Yeah. But what was the feeling like from you to be the voice
Well,
of Northport and say their names for the final time?
it was really hard not to break out into announcer voice. I just wanted to roll out every name like I was calling them out to a game. It was really hard not to do the I had to keep it going. But what really amazed me, John, was how many of our athletes are scholar athletes. There's a ton of them, at least 30 on just about every 3.5 and above, 4.0 and above, with X amount of varsity letters. It was quite a display of force on the academic side as well as the athletic side. And I know their teachers don't get enough credit for helping them get through a lot of them in the ACE program, a lot of them in the VPA program here. So big shout out to all the faculty and staff here at Newport High School that had either small or big part of getting into those grades and getting the college scholarships academically as well as athletically. That was really neat to see that night. So,
And I think what's even more impressive is the advancement of the schools today. So you can take some college prep courses and you don't have to pay for them in school
right.
now. If you get busy and you listen to the guidance counselors and your teachers, you have a really good start of your college degree before you even get to college. So that there's some beauty in that. And there's some cost savings too, if you're smart about it. So that's, and we learned a lot about that last week during the awards banquet, because I had to ask the question, how is it possible to get a 5+ grade point average?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you mentioned the crowd. When we were going to school, the honors credits weren't quite there yet. And when I went to Sarasota High, we were starting to have them show up. A couple dual enrollment classes here and there, but not like now. They can go an entire year taking honors classes.
Yeah, we didn't have it. I don't think we had anything like that, but I was always jealous of the kids who are close to 4.0s all the way through high school. And we had some cutting edge people, the Kelly McPhersons and Mitch Tussies out of the world and many others. So I kind of had to throw some out there. But I was the one that held up the school with honors. I stuck right there at that 2.5 or below, and I got through it. So it was all good.
Well, John, we've got another version of our smart kids here today. We've got the visual performance arts program here, and off camera, I already kind of hinted at it. And I found out back in December, I think it was Coach Drockler was doing a junior cats clinic. And I interviewed 2 of the cheerleaders at the time, and they had mentioned how on top of their cheerleading, they are also doing really good in their grades, and they're part of the Visual Performing Arts Academy. I had no idea you could do both time-wise and all that. So I'm like, you know what? If we ever get the chance at the end of the season, I'd like to reach out to them, because I found out there's quite a bit of them on this program. And,
absolutely,
the amount of athletics, the athletic ability for both, we're going to talk to in just a moment. How are they balancing both worlds? Very impressive. I can't wait to have our interview here. So I brought on here Mrs. Slay. Let's bring Mrs. Slay in here a little bit. Ms. Slay, why don't you introduce yourself to the crowd and who you are and what you do for Newport High School?
Okay. My name is Michelle Slay, and I am one of the dance teachers here at Northport High School. And I'm also the VPA coordinator, which is the Visual and Performing Arts coordinator here for the high school. So I deal with a lot of all the incoming students that are 8th graders or moving into our area that want to get into our performing arts program. So I help those students in order to get their placements with our staff so that they can be placed within our programs. So,
and she might know my sons too, by the way.
Yes, I do, because I worked a lot with John, and I know Michael too. So I know both of them very well.
And Ms. Slay, who do you have with us on our table joining us today?
We have Mary Russum, who is one of our dance students, who's also one of our cheerleaders here at the high school. This is her 2nd year in our VPA program, in our dance program here. And so we're really happy. She's also too in the ACE program as well. So we have lots of students that do several different things and do them very well. So
fantastic.
You said 2 years. What grade are you in, Mary?
I'm currently a sophomore.
Okay, so you start as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
You could try out as an 8th grader going into the program. That's how you would normally get into it. Can you join later if you change your mind as a 9th grader? Is that too late?
You can join later. Like the students can come in. We have some students that come in, like sophomore year. Junior year is a little bit harder,
Okay.
Unless you're like a transfer student. As far as getting we do
Sure.
have a VPA endorsement because we have our seniors have their award ceremony this Friday night.
Oh, good.
But as far as the endorsements, for the VPA program, the students all have to complete at least 6 courses that are mandatory courses within their field, like their field of choice, and then there's additional courses that they can take in order to earn merit or distinction in their VPA diploma, basically, that they get here from our program.
What would you say your size roughly is of freshman? You can combine all classes. I mean, how roughly big is the dance part of the
As far
program?
as the dance program, we actually have probably one of the larger dance programs in the state. A lot of people don't realize that.
Wow.
We average anywhere from about 100 to 120 dancers.
Wow.
In our program. Most VPA programs average about 60 to 70, I want to say, on average. And that's just from me meeting with students or not students, but faculty members, colleagues in that throughout the state of Florida. We are, and I think it's just because of the nature of our school and the location of where it is, because we serve our entire community. And it's been a blessing and, a labor of love to build this program here for these students, to be able to give them the opportunity. I think that's the main reason of why we built that, was for this community to have those opportunities.
So let's talk about the size here. So I'm in the dance studio, and I remember this from the hurricane I saw you earlier. Is this your only dance studio? Do you have another one?
We have 2 dance studios now.
Okay.
The first 10 years, the first year that I started teaching here, because this is my 20th year, the first year I started teaching here was in what used to be the orchestra room, in between the 2 band, what is now the orchestra and band room is now the percussion room. But we literally had a Marley rolled out over carpet, no mirrors, no bars, no nothing. Like, it was wall-to-wall Marley rolled out over carpet and concrete. And that was my first classroom. And then about a year and a half after being here at the high school, this room was constructed and opened. We opened it in December, January. So it was halfway through the school year of the second year that I was here. And then we moved into this room, and then we were in this room for roughly about 8.5 years before we brought Miss Nelson. And we were able to then add, because of our numbers, we were able to add a second full-time dance teacher. And so we brought Miss Nelson in because she specializes in ballet. And so then that way I have more of an eclectic background. I'm versed in all styles pretty much.
Right.
So that's what we did, was then we put Miss Nelson in here because we have the bars and everything already set up. And then I went ahead and went upstairs. So now I'm in what used to be the TV production studio of our school before they sourced that out to STC. And so I'm now in the old TV production studio, which we've turned into a dance studio behind the media center upstairs in the middle of the school.
A special floor? Do you have a special floor? Is it carpet?
We installed a sprung floor that's able to be transferred into other places if they ever shift us around, because I know we're supposedly up for remodel here fairly soon, but we don't know to what extent that all is going to.
John, what do you think about that? That's pretty impressive.
That is really impressive. You've got several years there now, but what has it been like to watch the transition at the school, and in contrast, what the students are now seeing differently than when the program first started?
I think just we're able to offer the students a lot more. The key factor was being able to bring a second faculty member on into the dance program, because then we were able to make sure that the students were getting the ballet as well as the jazz and the modern, so that they are all very versed in all styles, because between those 3 styles and the way that the movement is, I'm having a loss for words here, but just the technicality of the way the movement and the styles are, it helps the students segue into several other different styles, because we know in this world dance is very endless. There's so much out there. It's impossible to learn every single solitary dance style there is out there. And in this day and age, for the students to be competitive in dance as a profession, if they choose to do so, they really need to be able to be versatile as much as possible.
Yeah.
So for us, exposure is a huge thing. So we just recently have had some guest artists coming in with different styles and that, and Mary knows, she's nodding her head here. So the last 2 weeks, they've had several different guest artists coming in because we're in at the end of the year. So it gives them a chance, to apply everything that they've been working on with Miss Nelson and I over the year, in with someone else, new. That's a new face, new style, to be able to come in the door and to give them a chance to,
And
show what they learned.
so we
And
have a
apply.
comment. We actually have a comment from Trenton Kaminsky. He says, Miss Clay is such an amazing and such a sweetheart teacher.
Oh, thank you.
I love and adore her.
Thank you.
So I had to
Mary,
post that up there. So obviously
Oh,
Trenton was a past student, correct?
Trenton wasn't a past student, but I know he was here. I know he was a past student at Northport High School. He was not in the dance program, but I do know who he is. So
Awesome. All right.
he's
Go
a big
ahead,
support.
Sean.
Yeah, so Mary, I got you in here because of the cheerleading aspect of this, of all the dancing and the VPA, and we're gonna get into that. And I told you guys off camera, but I want to repeat it again. When I was growing up in high school, there was a really good football team. The Chicago Bears were Super Bowl level. They won one of the years. There was a famous wide receiver, Willie Galt, who was the first one I ever heard of as a kid publicly say, "I'm doing ballet to become a better athlete." One of the fastest players they've ever had, still to this modern era. He broke many adult speed records as well in his 40s and early 50s. He still has some of the highest, best 100-meter scores. And then he wasn't the only one. Herschel Walker, Lynn Swan came around. They did all these things. So athletically, I always knew that dancing in the back of my mind would greatly benefit any sport, especially the power ones that need explosive, getting off the ground movements. How are you doing as a cheerleader and a dancer at the same time in terms of your everything, the grades, the timing, the coaching styles, the commitments? What have you had 2 years now? Have you done 2 years of cheerleading and dancing or
Yes, I've
So
done cheer and dance multiple seasons the past 2 years.
so you have enough experience in both of them. So what are you thinking? Give us your thoughts.
Well, I personally think that ever since coming into high school as a freshman and coming into the dance program, because before I did not dance, just very roughly,
Okay.
it helped in every aspect of my life, actually. Because in ballet and technique, you learn about your body and how to use it, and you're just more self-aware. And so as far as cheerleading, especially because I'm a flyer, so the girl at the top of the steps.
I learned that this year. Part of this show's beauty is I'm learning so much about everything because I get to have a little bit every week of something else. So I know what the flyers are. You're the ones who scare the heck out of me. So tell the crowd what a flyer. They might have missed the first episode way back in September.
In cheer, there's stunting, which is basically people lifting people, throwing them in the air to do flips, hold their legs up to their heads, all that stuff. So the girl at the top is called the flyer, and the bottom is their bases. And I both base and fly, but I mainly fly. So
you're the one who gets thrown in the air, and I'm sitting here going, I
Yes.
can't watch. Please, God, catch her. So to be a flyer, what did you have to do differently athletically than, say, the other positions on the team?
Well, you mainly just have to be aware of where your weight is in your body
Okay.
and just how you move through the air when you're on just hands.
That's amazing.
It's different. In ballet, it's also you're moving while just on your feet. And if you're in releve, sometimes just the top parts of your feet, and you have to turn and you have to leap. So
It sounds like the best flyers are probably the ballet students, because you're so concentrating on that
yes.
motion. Wow. Oh man.
Yes, your
The core. There
strength.
you go. Some core athletes.
Yes.
So, have you had students talk to you about it? Not just the dancing, like the students who dance, but like the non-dancers out there. Like some of the athletes say, "Hey, maybe I should give it a shot." Or have you tried to promote some of the guys out here?
Yeah, I always try and recruit just especially guys to dance and cheer because they always ask me about it, how it helps, like what you do. A lot of them are excited about it to try it.
Yeah.
So I always tell them that dance helps with everything. It helps you be more focused. It helps with your time. It helps to be coachable in your sports because you get to manage all this stuff along with school. And you learn about your body and you learn how to do these crazy skills.
And these high school boys, they think like I was clumsy, like a Great Dane puppy. You know, I just wasn't built in my body at that time. So I really wish I had that. My sister did ballet, and I thought I'd fall with my feet. But I really wish I had that experience because I'm terrible at dancing. I'm always jealous of the guys who can dance. So John, real quick here, tell her what else you're doing besides VPA and cheerleading. There's a third part of the school you're doing.
Yeah, I'm in the ACE program
Yeah.
for school, which is Cambridge classes, very high level education.
So how do you balance all these three things? That's a huge. Do you have any time off at all? Do you do anything for fun that's not dance or school? Or that is your fun? Sometimes.
I mean, dance and cheer and school is all fun.
Good.
Recently,
That's the answer we're looking for.
I've
There
been
you
doing swimming, which I actually learned that dance helped also.
go. Really?
Yes, because I was very conscious about my body shapes and lines in the water and how to help me flow. It just.
Are you gonna try to sneak in a swim team performance? No, there's no way.
I don't think so.
No way.
You're gonna laugh. My dance teacher growing up was a diver.
A diver.
Oh yeah. Well, they do a lot of coordinated movements.
Yeah.
Sure.
Related a lot, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how many of your cheerleading current teams? So, first of all, what cheer teams are you on? I know you said there's more than one.
Well, last year, because the cheer season just ended, I was on sideline, competition cheer, and basketball cheer, varsity for all of those. And then this upcoming year, probably going to do the same
Wow.
thing.
So you're nonstop all 9 months. You were on a
Yes.
team of some kind.
Sometimes
Wow.
multiple.
That's crazy. So do you like any one over the others, or a difference in the strategy there?
I like all of them because they're all
Yeah.
different. I mean, sideline's your football games. It's lots of fun.
Yeah.
You get to do a lot of community events, which I like. And then competition, you get to travel and compete.
Were you on this last competition team that got third place in the state of Florida?
Yes, I was.
That was fantastic. I'm really upset they didn't give a trophy for that. We got to work on that next year. But yeah, that's a big deal. Third place in the entire state of Florida in competitive. That's fantastic.
They worked really hard for that, I know.
That was really cool. So next year you're hoping to be first place in the competitive.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Are your friends in about the same age group, or a lot of seniors in front of you saying goodbye? Or
This past year, there was quite a number of seniors, so
Okay.
they all left, and it was really sad.
so someone like you will probably be asked to be one of the leaders as a junior, more than likely.
Well, for more of the cheer program, the seniors are captains. We have 2 to 4, but it changes every year. Things change.
Wow. Coach Slay, what do you think about when you hear stuff like this, where the students are doing really, because ACE, you got to be smart to begin with, and keep the grades up, doing the VPA, doing the cheerleading. Do you see that with some other dancers, or is that just pretty?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of self-discipline. I think it's great for the kids, especially because, you know, they're putting themselves in there and they are, you know, committing to things and they're learning how to follow through with something. They're learning time management. You know, there's just a lot of things. You know, I think the biggest thing is probably just we talk with them a lot of times too. I know in the dance program, we talk to them a lot about making sure that they're taking care of themselves. And, you know, if they do come up and say that they're having an issue or something like that, we try to help them, you know, as far as help guide them, you know, as best we can, or make sure that they go see someone to, you know what I mean, to help them so that because the thing is if they want to continue doing, you know, the things that they're doing, they need to make sure that they're taking care of themselves so that they can continue to do that. Otherwise, they're going to end up missing so much time, you know, on both ends. And then, you know, and then they're sitting, it's no fun to sit there, like, right, as a dancer and as a cheerleader, like the worst thing is sitting there and watching everyone else, like, do everything that you so badly want to be up there doing. So teaching them to really advocate for themselves, you know, and take care of themselves when they do have, you know, minor injuries or things like that before it becomes something big. And I think a lot of them have gotten, I think, a little better, like, over the years at, you know, paying attention to things like that. And just being like what Mary said, more self-aware.
Yeah, we'll let John take over for a little bit. I've asked too many questions. John, go ahead. Sorry,
I'm glad you kind of talked about that, because there's a couple things that I'll layer in there. Is the time management side of things that they have to learn doing multi-sport. Also with the fact that you are having to pay attention to your body differently because you're doing multi-sport, and you're actually, while it may look similar, you are using different muscles and doing different things and stretching differently for ballet than you do for, say, cheerleading. But Mary, do you see the crossover between the two being advantageous to you as far as the
Yes.
stretching and getting to know your body better?
hmm I feel like a lot of the aspects of flexibility and learning how to warm up your body just crosses over completely, because for cheer in any sport you have to warm up, get your muscles ready to perform, and dance is the same thing. You practice every day and you have to be okay without injuring yourself to practice.
How do you work around injuries that you pick up throughout the year? How do you manage that?
Well, a lot of the injuries I have are very minor, and it's just mainly just when you get home, you take care of yourself. You need to ice, heat, elevate, relax, massage. Miss Slate actually teaches us a lot about the different muscles and joints in dance class, and if we can't dance, they're totally okay with that, and we have nurses, and we can just unfortunately sit, but
We make
take
sure
care of
that they
ourselves.
go see the doctor. Like we have a
Yes.
rule in dance that if they have to sit out for 3 days or more, that they must bring in a doctor's note, so that it's getting them to take responsibility, for themselves, teaching them, to
Fantastic.
make sure that they are, when they are truly injured, that they're, seeking doctor's advice so that they can heal and get better faster, so that it
Well,
doesn't become a chronic injury.
and with the minor injuries, Miss Slay, the minor injuries and taking care of those along the way actually can promote not having the major injuries down the road, right?
Exactly.
So you're trying to minimize the student athlete being out more than 3 days too, because you can mediate that down with good care preemptively, right?
Correct. And then the other thing too that we always try to encourage them is if they do ever have a major injury, is making sure that they do go see a physical therapist and do physical therapy, because I find a lot of times students at this age, in the teenage years, they, they feel very, indestructible, I think, at such a young age, and it's so easy for them. They're down for, say they're out for, 2-3 weeks, with an injury, and then they all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, doctor said I'm good, and they want to jump back in full force, and we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. So there's a lot of times when we're like, okay, there should be restrictions, like you shouldn't be, jumping, or maybe you shouldn't be turning, maybe you should just be doing, like, instead of like when we're doing turns, we'll try to help the kids modify things to where you're just balancing instead of spinning, things like that, because we want them to come back healthy and, not re-injure themselves again. And there's a whole process to that sometimes gets, I would say, avoided, whether it be just lack of knowledge or the right people, being involved in helping coach them back in, or maybe financial. I think sometimes that can become a burden on families, because physical therapy is not cheap. We all know that. I think on the average it's like $50 it can be like $20 to $50 a visit
for PT.
Yeah, for PT.
Where do you go to? That's a great deal. Wait a time out. That's some good insurance there.
Well, I mean, if you have, that's why I said that's with insurance,
good.
Though. But you know what I mean. I mean, that's very pricey for a family if you have to come 2 or 3 times, a week, for a student. So, it's nice that the athletes, definitely have access through, because you guys have access to a trainer, that does help give you guys some advice and coaching and stuff like that. That's one thing that I feel is really wonderful for the athletes here at our school versus like our dance kids, because they're not part of the athletic program. They don't get that offering unless they're in athletics. So that's one of the things, like Mary has a great advantage because she is in athletics. So if she has injuries, she can go, and talk with them and, get some advice on how to, get better, and do it safely.
one of our listeners, actually, Aaron Hall, she said occupational therapy, go OT. So I had to throw that out there because occupational therapy, as we get older, we utilize those services. And she also said co-insurance payment is 25 to 45
There
for
you
a
go.
therapy visit. So,
That's my insurance. That's not very good.
and I'm actually glad that you brought in the fact that as athletes, there is a trainer for athletes, and so you can seek that extra additional help within the athletic department. But we don't have that in the theater side of things, do we?
No. The one thing I will say, because I was a dance major at the University of South Florida in Tampa. The one thing that was really nice as being, just because you're a student at the college, even though I was not in athletics and I was a dance major in the arts, if I wanted to go see one of the personal trainers at the college, or if I wanted to go see the nutritionist or anyone like that, I had full access, just simply because I was a student at the college, which I thought was priceless. You know what I mean? That was a wonderful thing to be able to have access to, that unfortunately we're not able to provide necessarily at the high school level, which I would love that. I would love to be able to do that for all the dance kids.
I remember the old college infirmary days of $5 to $10 copays. That was it. Mary, when did you start your cheerleading? Where did you start at? Were you here locally, or you moved into Northport?
I moved to Northport from Kansas.
Okay.
And that's kind of when I started cheer, around 11 or 12, just very lightly.
What group did you start with?
A Pop Warner group, the Junior Bobcats.
Oh, John, we were there. They were our first youth team that we highlighted.
Yes.
Was the Junior Bobcats over by the Mullen Center there. So you're part of that group.
Yeah, I coach over there, and my dad actually is the president, so he runs the whole organization.
Oh my goodness, what's his name?
Harry Russell.
We had him on the show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I'm telling you, John. By the time the show's in our 5th season, we'll know every single person in the city via sports and cheerleading.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So you're wait. So tell the viewers, you're also, in addition to the 3 things with the programs and the 3 cheerleading you're doing, you're also doing what on the side? You're coaching?
Yes, I coach youth cheer, and actually I'm in the repertory part of the company.
Oh my God, stop it. I can't take this kid. She's killing me, John.
Which is part of the
I don't think she ever goes to sleep. You're like a robot. Oh my gosh.
It's very nice, actually. The dance program is very flexible. I figured out with all my coaches and teachers, they just help me with my schedule and to manage it.
So you got to have at least 4 different adults telling you what to do with your. How in terms of do this style versus that style versus this style? How do you manage that conflicting, or do they work together? Are they harmonious, or they
do work together?
Don't do what they're doing, do what I'm doing.
For the most part, right? They never conflict, but it's always just having the same mindset of they know they can help me, try to be coachable, try to listen. It can only help. And especially with the guest artists coming in, it's all these new types of dance that I'm not used to. So it's just nice to learn all the different aspects of every sport and performing arts.
Wow, man.
I think the coach, the cheer, all the cheer coaches here at our school, that's one thing that I have a good relationship with all the coaches here at our school. So I've always made it a point to reach out to them and make sure that we work together to try to avoid conflicts for the kids. So that way it doesn't become I got to be here, I got to be here kind of thing. And I think we've been pretty successful, I think, for the most part, working, together. The coaches, we've been supportive of them. They've been supportive of us. And so it's been a really nice give and take on both ends.
Have you seen programs where that's not always the case?
Yeah.
They're very clean?
I've seen that happen.
Wow.
And I know with the dance program here, when I started the dance program here, one of my big focuses, with our program, was to make sure that we didn't do a ton of really late after school rehearsals, so that kids could do other things. And we do have some students that are here that do studio, as well, at their dance studios. So we have that ability, for the athletes to be able to go after school, and be, in practice in that after school, and for the, the students that do study outside, in other areas too, that they're able to do those things and still be, a part of the program here. So it's always been, as my idea, I've always looked at it as we want to be a support, and an enrichment, for the kids. So then that way it helps to build and support everything. We support each other in everything that everybody's doing, versus making the kids have to go back and forth. But I mean, there are some times, I'm not going to say it's perfect because we do have some conflicts.
No, there's no way you
once in a
can
while.
make it perfect.
Well, I
Right.
mean, we have soccer players, we have basketball players, we have track, and cross country runners and everything like that too, that are involved in dance. So, I mean, it's not just cheer, that we have that are athletes, but, we do have, I think what Mary and I were talking earlier, I think it's about a third of cheer is in dance right now.
So yeah, let's talk about it. So John, a third of our cheerleading are competitive, sidelines, all that. They're part of the VPA or they're just dancing?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's impressive. Well, Mary, I want to thank you for coming out today. I can't believe you're coach's kid. Now I'm going to know who you are, but do you have anything you want to say? Because we're going to sign you off here in a little bit here. In terms of people who are watching, if you've ever thought about coming out, middle school, 8th, 9th grade. I know you said it's hard as you're older, but anything you want to say to get them into this program? This is an amazing program.
Right.
We've got to do a whole episode just on you guys in the fall. We really do.
Only thing I would say to just anyone in middle school coming into high school, or you're already in high school, not graduated yet, is just try new things. Yeah. Go into all the programs you can, all the sports, all the clubs. There's also clubs that we have related to dance. And just try and see what you enjoy, and it'll definitely help you as a person.
That's awesome. John, you got any parting questions for them? I think this is a great interview.
I do not,
I've learned a lot.
It's been quite a great little interview with both of you. And there's a lot to be said about our dance program and the athletics doing a joint combination to making our athletes that much stronger. And I'm sure it doesn't disrupt the dance room at all to have the athletes there too. I'm sure that Mrs. Slay loves that side of it also.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Miss Slay. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Mary, thank you so much. We're going to sign off on you guys. I got another segment here. Guys, that is Miss Slay, our head of our VPA program here at Northport. Actually, very successful program. I'm actually going to step outside so they can get back to their office here. And as I do so, I'm going to pan out, and you can see the nice dance studio here at Northport High School. All right, John, before we move on to our next guest, I do want to give a huge shout out to the track and field team. Tomorrow, they are going up to Plant City for their regionals, where we have several of our teams going out there, and hopefully we get a lot of them go to the state level. So good luck, Coach Fu, Coach Duque, and all the young men and women out there up at Plant City in Tampa as they take on regionals tomorrow. There are postings on our site that you do have to pay. That's not free. You have to pay for parking as well as admission. So please be aware of that. All right, John, is our next guest about ready?
Yeah, Teddy Deas is here. He's muted, but he's ready to go.
All right. I don't want to see him quite yet. Teddy is our last youth sports team representative here. I really wanted to get him live in action at the gym, but they had a little scheduling issue with Woodland Middle School. And I know I've gone over 1,000 times the Morgan Center issue, so I'm not going to go over that today. Teddy, welcome to our show. You are our final Northport youth team representative. We've done 2 football leagues. We've done youth wrestling. We've done youth soccer. We've done, I forgot what else I had. There's one more I forgot. So great to have you on the show, Teddy. How you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me.
All right. For the audience who doesn't know who you are, I don't know how they wouldn't know who you are, but why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you're representing today?
My name's Teddy Deas. I attended Glen Allen Elementary, Hand Creek Middle School, and Northport High School, and I've just taken over the reins for Northport Youth Basketball.
And what led you to become the head of Northport Youth? That's a big transition for anyone. What was the policy on that? What was the thinking on there? What was going on with the program and yourself at that time?
I think everything kind of transitioned really after COVID. Everything kind of went to a standstill as far as just the social contact and youth basketball not being around because everything was kind of shut down as far as COVID. So it was kind of hard to just have the same members as far as the kids being in the program, and our former 2 presidents and co-president, felt like they had done everything they could and wanted it to give it off to someone younger to not only carry the reins, but come in with more innovative ideas to keep the brand growing and keep the members coming and making successful seasons for all the existing athletes and the new athletes that we get into the program.
So let's go back to that a little bit. The class presidents, did they have students did they have Newport High School kids that came up through the system and play for the high school? Were they?
Yep, and they their kids actually came up through the program as well. So it was. I mean, it's kind of MPYB has always been like that. Any board member that was associated with MPYB typically always had daughter or son come through the program as well. And eventually we all get older and go off, and we're not in MPYB anymore. So that was another reason on why they probably wanted to kind of move on with life. And it's totally understandable. You give so much back, so much time. It's just handed off to someone else. So I took some time and considered it and thought of some different ways that I knew that we could kind of revamp the brand and come up with new innovative ways in incorporating more kids joining our program and parents getting more involved.
You're saying how get more students involved. What roughly estimate would you say the program is right about now, numbers wise? Do you have a rough idea what we're talking about here?
Yeah, so it's kind of low, I think, just because everything that's happened at the Morgan Center, and we can have literally another interview about that some other time. But right now we're at 225 kids. Normally, when we were at our peak, I want to say it was around like 385. But we're slowly going to get back to that. Another thing is just gym availability and being able to. We kind of got to shorten our registration periods. We also got to max out teams, and just because we don't have enough time as far as hours that we can have all these teams practicing. So once that's lifted and we're back at the Morgan Center and the Mullen Center and we can use 2 facilities as far as practices, we expect to see those numbers go up as we can bring on more teams.
Well, Teddy, that's interesting you say that in terms of the numbers and all. What's the age group they start? What age group they end at? Was it 50-50? Do you have co-ed teams? Like, give us a quick rundown on how that works for the
yeah. So it's a co-ed youth basketball league. Sometimes you'll have coaches want to do all girls, which is perfectly fine for us. We actually we like that because it brings out the competitiveness, and as girls basketball is starting to pick up and really bring a name to itself. We like seeing that. Another thing is the ages start from 5 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the oldest is 17. So we try to keep it around that 5 to 17. May have a couple of kids that may turn 18 during the season, but as long as they're a certain age by, I believe it's June 1st that we go off of, as far as heading on to the next season, that's kind of how we look at the age groups and kind of categorize them. So as the season goes on, we have ages 5 to 7 in kind of one bracket. And then we have our 8 to 9s, and we shifted it a little bit this year just because of the numbers. It's 10 to 13 and then 14 to 16. But typically we'll have a 10 to 12 division, 13 to 14 division, and then a 15 to 17 division.
And season-wise, you just finished the season a little quicker than you thought. So you have more than one season? What kind of season are we talking about for this
Yeah, so we have another somewhat of a condensed summer due to just gym availability, but also knowing that a lot of kids are wanting to be active during the summer, and I know a lot of parents want their kids to be out of the house. So we're going to do
you got it. That's it.
So we're going to do a 7-week summer league that'll start the first week of June. And it'll go in between the middle of August, but we have a little bit of downtime in July. We normally do our 4th of July break. So we have a little bit of downtime in July. And then after that, we'll kind of reset in hoping the Morgan Center will be back and running up. And we'll start preparing and getting ready for our winter season, which will start in January of 2025.
So you have the 2 season, winter and summer?
Yeah, typically that's kind of how we do it. Yep.
Gotcha. John, I want the details. I'll let John have the good questions now. He's got some good ones for you. Is he there? John, you there? Did we lose everybody? Teddy, can you hear me at least?
Yeah, John.
We did get it. We did get an update from the city last week, and there is some difficulties there. They've got to fix the roof. They've got to do the AC, and they've got to do the floor. If they do the floor first, there's a real problem because it's going to buckle again. They've got to really. I think they've got the roof where it's not leaking. The AC is not good in there, and they can't put the floor down. It's just not going to work out. But I promise you that Sean and I and the city staff and the city manager are well aware of the need to get that facilities back open, and they're desperately trying to figure out a plan for it to be successful. But that being said, it's pretty amazing that with limited access to gyms, we still have that many kids going through the program. How have you adapted to that so that the kids in the area are getting the coaching and the playing time that they need?
I mean, I've always go off of if there's a will, there's a way. Just reaching out to just different schools, seeing what gyms are available, telling them kind of what's going on and how we can overcome this and continue to have the kids involved. And I think, with this growing city, recreational sports is very vital. You're trying to limit, the crime activities, trying to limit kids just being on the straight and narrow. So I think what I did was I honestly just went to the 2 middle school facilities that I knew typically don't really use the gym, especially basketball wise, after their season, and just sat with the principals and said, like, hey, here's the situation. Here are the numbers of kids that are just not playing basketball, not being active. And both principals from Woodland and Heron Creek were very receptive. Were very open to helping me with anything that I needed. And I just kind of took it from there and said, hey, this is what we have to do for now. And, it's all just thinking on the fly, just trying to be innovative. I know, it crushed the kids, during the COVID years. And then on top of that, you add, the hurricane coming in. So these kids, if you look at it from a timeline standpoint, probably missed about 3 years of basketball. And that's a lot, especially for younger kids, that it takes time and seasons to really adapt to the game of basketball, to, understand basketball, to learn the plays and memorize them. And after not playing for 3 years, a lot of these kids forget how to play basketball. So you got to kind of start all the way back over. So just being able, like, it was so exciting to see this past season, just kids just so happy to just be in the gym with, basketballs and seeing their friends that they normally see all the time during the season. So that's kind of how we've adapted to it. I mean, it's kind of just like a lot of stuff that we've adapted to in life. When COVID happened, we had to learn how to socialize, through social media and not being able to see people. And then, as COVID kind of lifted up, people start to slowly get back out there and slowly socialize. Kind of the same thing with, this situation. It's just slowly getting these kids back into basketball and wanting to continue to do it every single season, and not like, okay, they're going to play in summer and we may not see these kids for another summer. So just trying to figure out each way and how to get these kids involved in basketball, whether it be through MPYB. A lot more kids are now involved in the AAU travel world. So parents are starting to get to travel a little bit with their kids. A lot of kids are starting to take training a lot more serious because they're behind. They're trying to develop and catch up to speed. So just adapting in anything we do in life, just trying to adapt to it. Same thing we're trying to do with basketball here and get the numbers back to where it used to be.
So,
John,
something 1 second, I'll throw it right back at you, Sean. One thing I'll add in about the Morgan Center, because Erin Hall, she says my child will be graduating from high school before the Morgan Center opens, and she is 11. That's not going to be the case. I hope we're not on the same track as that. But people need to remember a couple things, and they're very, very important. Repairing a house is not the same as repairing a commercial property. The costs that go in that occur with the roof, with the AC unit, it's a specialty unit. So that one, the cost of that roof, two, the cost of the specialty unit, and three, the cost of the flooring, because it's not your typical floor. It is a specialty floor. So you've got three specialty items that you have to get installed in the Morgan Center to open the gym back up to be utilized the right way. So keep that in mind as I know everybody is frustrated by it, but what we have learned from City Hall is that they are working on it as quickly as possible, but all three of those facets, and they have to pay for them. Keep that in mind. They have to pay for all of it first to get the money back. So all of that cost goes to the city itself, and the city has to pay for it. So there is some budget control there that we all must look at and acknowledge. And that wasn't caused by anything but Ian. And so that's the after effect of Ian. We still have other buildings that are really not operative at this point besides the Morgan Center. So that's the reality of a hurricane of Ian's scope and what we had to deal with. I know that the ironic thing was we were at the high school the other night for the awards banquet, and they were putting the roof on the gym, and that roof that was damaged in Irma. That wasn't damaged in Ian. That was damaged in Irma because I was in the gym for that event, and I know for a fact it was damaged then. So that's how long these things take sometimes to rectify themselves. We were just blessed at the high school that it didn't do more damage, so they were able to kind of patch it through and get it to where it's at today. So there's some good news there, but things are going to continue to change. But Teddy, Sean, I'm going to throw it back at you.
Yeah, so Teddy, it's no surprise my affiliation with Norfolk High School basketball. I've been the announcer there for quite some time. One of my favorite sports to announce because there's always something for me to do. I would love you to talk a little bit about how does Norfolk youth basketball and say the high school coaches, do they, I've seen some of your students out. I've seen some students do coaching. Do they come out and help out? Are they encouraged? Have you had any kind of communication with the high school level yet about this?
Well, this past season, I did have some of the varsity players that wanted to volunteer and coach. Thought it was a good idea, and they took it on full force. They were always there. I actually depended on them a lot as far as just reffing the younger kids, because typically we kind of have the high school students do that. That's just been the culture of NPYB. And they also wanted to coach. And some of these players actually grew a relationship with some of these youth players.
Excellent.
Just, being there all the time. I've had parents reach out to me and say, hey, this player did so well with my child. If they're coaching again, we'd love to have my daughter or son on their team. So that was very warming to hear.
Excellent.
And then this year coming up, in June for the summer league, we're actually using the high school facility for our games on Saturday. And I've already got with the varsity guys and Coach Bruce in regards to just helping out, seeing what they wanted to do. And all the players were either wanting to coach, run the clock. They were all so forward. So as far as the affiliation with the high school, it's been going well. Everyone's,
excellent,
just giving a helping hand wherever they can. And it makes it a lot easier too, just in case if we're down maybe a coach or two, I know I can depend on, a player to step in and coach a team and be very enthusiastic, encourage the kids. So that's kind of the vision that we're doing, is just trying to involve all the schools as possible, with the middle schools, the high school, coaches, even we got more parents. I think this summer league is the first time since I've been a part of NPYB and I played in NPYB when I was younger, that we actually have more volunteer coaches than we do teams this year.
Wow. Yeah.
We may have to tell some coaches they may not be able to coach this summer just because which
They
is
can become an announcer, a guest announcer during the games. Make them announcers, Teddy.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're up to that task. That I think you can only feel that rain. And
well, I appreciate it. Flattery gets you everywhere, by the way. But I got to say one thing here. My niece wants to give a shout out to Coach Isaiah. Was her coach this last season you had. Isaiah Gabriel from the varsity Bobcat team. So she had a great time with him.
That's good.
Oh my goodness. So Teddy, I got to be honest. I really think timing wise, you are the right person at the right time, the right place for this transition. I really do. I completely agree. I think young ideas, young energy, I should say young, but younger ideas is exactly what a conference, especially in the middle of what you're saying, how you've had the gym issues, the COVIDs, the storms.
Mm-hmm.
I think the resiliency of a younger mind is perfect timing for you to come in here. So I'm really happy that you said yes to this. I wasn't sure the other alternatives out there, so I have no idea if you were the only one. But either way, I think it's a great way for you to come back to the town. Now, you also do other things for this high school, and we're going to have an entire episode later on. Why don't you give a quick little mention of what's going on in the summer here back to the high school here?
Yeah, so we're going to do our third Allen's Memorial Alumni Basketball game. That's going to be July 27th. I've added a little twist to bring some communities together, and it's for a bigger cause now too.
Right.
Basically, I'm going to bring in Venice High School, both their boys and girls alum, Port Charlotte boys alum, and then Charlotte boys alum, and we're going to do a crosstown, somewhat of a crosstown rival matchup. And this time, along with our Kurt Allen and Debbie Allen senior athletic scholarships, all the proceeds after that will go to Coach Tony Miller and his family.
Excellent.
And so that's kind of what I'm doing now. I figured as the years go by, I have to start being a little more creative in creating a community spark. So I think having these neighboring schools come to play and be a part of our event, it also brings in 4 other communities, and we're all under one gymnasium for one big cause. And so that's the plan for this upcoming alumni game in July.
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, the Allens Coach Allen, not only was he a teacher here at Norwood High School, but he was one of our earlier boys basketball coaches. Very successful, very well liked. Just sad story what happened on them. So, and for those who don't know any better, Teddy and Malik, I'm going to brag about you guys. You guys pretty much came in and said, what can we do to memorialize Coach Allen? And you pretty much set this up on your own, right? What was the thought process on that one there?
Yeah, so I actually sat with Malik. I sat with Larry Taylor.
That's right, Larry Taylor. I apologize. Yeah, Larry Taylor.
And Jeffrey Jalot was part of it too. Kind of just told him, like, hey, we wanted to try to do something. We're honestly pushing to get the gym named after Coach Allen, but there's a couple of processes that has to go through and all of that. So I said, well, there's going to have to be something that we need to do. And I just thought, like, hey, what if we brought back the alums and played a basketball game? And just to spice things up on social media, we began smack talking a little bit, and that drew conversations from people that we went to school with that said like they would love to do it. It was kind of like a poll to see like who would actually come out and watch. And we had, so I think the first time I shared it, we had over 60 shares on Facebook. Everyone was talking about it. It was the talk of the town. So that was the initiator right there. And from there, we just kept building it up. And then, unfortunately, Coach Allen and Miss Debbie passed away. And it was like, okay, like it needs to be more. Why are we doing this year? And then we come with a purpose and a cause for it. And now the community's behind it. We look forward to it every July now for the past 4 years. And, that's how we're going to keep doing it. I think as we get older, and like Malik, Larry, and I, and all of us, We're going to have to start making the younger kids come back and playing, but most of us are still actively playing, and we love playing in them. So we're going to kind of keep riding this wave. And I'm hoping with this new twist of alums coming from different schools, we'll be able to continue that for a couple of years too, and have a little bragging rights how we used to do back in the day.
And Teddy, now that you're president of the Northport Youth Basketball, I'd love to see the entire youth basketball program come out that day. There's only been a few here and there that I am announcing it. Bring them all out. We need towel kids.
So that's
towel boys, towel girls. We need little kid games in between. Bring it all out here, Teddy. Bring them all. Bring all the youth basketball out for this one.
Yeah, so that's my goal too. And knowing that Venice, Port Charlotte, and Charlotte will be a part of this event, you will bring their youth in too. You have the Tiny Tarpons, you have Port Charlotte Youth Basketball League that just started back up at Harold, and we also have the Venice Y that they do their youth league as well. So having all those kids just coming, under one facility and playing, and interacting with each other and just seeing different faces, because most of these kids that are in these youth leagues, unless they're on an AAU team, they don't really see, other faces that are kind of the same age as them. They don't really get to see that, because every youth league, you're pretty much playing the same kids every Saturday or every other Saturday. So just being able to have, MPYB under one building, Tiny Tarpons, Venice Y, Port Charlotte, it'll definitely bring out like just the entire youth and the upbringing of all the schools and the future for basketball.
You got bounce houses this year and vendors, things like that?
Yep. I'm working on the bounce houses, which I'm pretty sure I'll be able to have those. A couple of vendors, probably going to have some food trucks come out this time.
Gotcha.
And we're still working. I'm working on a company right now as far as potentially doing a backpack giveaway. Nothing's set in stone yet. Nice. But doing that, some amazing partnerships may come with MPYB. I've been talking to a couple of members from BSN. We may partner with, along with Nike. We may be doing some stuff.
Whoa, man, Teddy.
Yeah. We may be doing something with Nike and going through their grant program that they do every year, and they're trying to get more involved with youth sports. So I've kind of had a couple of conversations with some people I know from both companies, and so far so good. So we'll see what happens with that.
And like I said, Teddy, we'll have an episode later on as we get closer to it. But just remember, guys, all you families out there, it's air conditioned. All right. There's some other events that day that aren't air conditioned. I don't know why you want to do those. You got to come to us. We are the premier event. You're indoors, nice and cool. In the case, John, I've been talking a lot. I better let you get some questions in here. I apologize, sir.
Hey, Teddy. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Kurt Allen event that you put together. Are we still targeting that for this year?
Oh yeah. That's always going to be the face of it. I think the only additional thing that we've added realistically was bringing just more communities to be involved. Most of these players from the boys' side that were alums at Venice, Port Charlotte, and Charlotte all knew Coach Allen as well. So it's just another way to bring out the competitive edge and just bring more communities to the event, and just have everybody under one building.
And Aaron Hall was asking, do we have a date for that event this upcoming year?
Right now it's in the calendar marked for July 27th, which is typically, we try to do it the last Saturday of every July, because we kind of try to cater it towards that back to school event where, the kids kind of come out, and then as August hits, they get back into their routine of, going to sleep early and getting ready for that school schedule again. So July 27th is the date that we have on the calendar right now.
And where can people find this information out?
Typically, I would personally write statuses about it, and I would always tag Northport High School. So if people aren't friends with me, they're still obligated to the high school page, so they will still see the information via Facebook. But I'm also working on, I always do a news article with Northport Sun. So that always comes out. And then the past 2 years, I've been doing like a Zoom call or like a live video with you, I did one with the radio station, and
Right.
the first year I actually did one with what was the local news
My
station?
Suncoast or SNN. One of those
Yeah,
two.
I did a
Yeah.
actual news broadcast with SNN, and last year I had SNN actually come out and record the game and
Oh,
the
that's
interview.
right. They got me on there too, Teddy. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
So
That's right.
I typically promote it. I try to promote as much as possible. Like I said, through social media. I'll go on any talk
So-
show. I'll do an
So
article.
what are your social media handles?
So
Where
Facebook
can
is
they
just
find
Teddy Deas. Instagram is just Teddy Deas, and Twitter is just Teddy Deas. So try to keep it very, very generic, and so people can just find me from there. But I always, I'm actively posting on Facebook basketball related stuff. So there's definitely,
So
I've already made
we don't
actually.
we don't really have a youth basketball tag, right? So it's really just Teddy D's.
Well, the youth basketball, I'm slowly getting. I don't really handle the communication portions of MPYB. We kind of have that off to one of our directors. But anything that I want to communicate, he's more than happy to kind of release out. So
Yeah.
we do plan to leverage MPYB and making sure that anything basketball related or
Awesome.
anything town related, we make sure parents understand. And we also have a Facebook page, Northport Youth Basketball, that we're going to start actively using again as far as communications and things like that.
So there's a bigger push of communication out to the citizens here real soon, right?
Yep. We're going to start really doing that. We've been slowly kind of revamping the website as well. Just updating pictures. We're going to start doing, business spotlights on there that sponsor. We're going to do some player spotlights, some players that have came through MPYB and now going off to play college basketball, to just give inspiration to the youth about, oh, wow, like they went through this and now they're in college playing basketball. And hopefully that ignites them to continue to play in the program and develop and hopefully go off to college and play basketball or do anything successful in life, knowing that they came throughout our program.
Awesome. All right, Sean.
Teddy, as always, a pleasure to hear from you. I will see you in 2.5 months. I think that's the right math. It's going to be here before you know it. Thank you,
I know,
Teddy.
right? I got to start getting back into shape. So, yep, I'll see you in about 2.5 months.
So,
See you, bud.
Again, that's Teddy Deas, the new president of the Northport Youth Basketball. John, that completes our entire youth league. I forgot it was Little League Baseball and Miss Softball were my other programs. So we've done it. And families, if you are part of a youth program we did not highlight this season, that's on me because I don't know all the programs. Let me know. Next year we'll do this again, and I'll make sure I get your program on for if you're feeding in Northport High School. John, I almost forgot one more thing. This Friday, at the Preserve, Northport football is going to have their blue and silver scrimmage game. That's always fun. That's a 5:30 start, roughly 7:30. Getting ready for their last hurrah for the year, the spring game, which is May 24th. Here, we're going to have it here, taking on Island Coast. I'll be announcing that game. That's going to be a regular 7 o'clock, real varsity level game. So we have 2 more football events. Tomorrow's track and field. And we're pretty much done for this season. We'll have 2 more episodes next Tuesday. Again, that's the college kids. The college athletes, the kids who are graduating here. And then the last week after that, we'll have a wrap-up of the whole year. We'll have Coach Belzer on with our football as well. So, John, the end is coming soon.
It is. And I want to add something else in because Northport Forward has the United Tour at Lakeside Plantation at 6 p.m. on the 27th. And so check out northportforward.com and get that date set in your calendar because that is the time for citizens. Yeah, that is the time for citizens to go and show up at that meeting and really ask the questions about the Morgan Center and get answers from staff and really dig in. So the more people that show up, learn about what the citizens are wanting. and drive that information. Staff is going to be more aware. So you really have to kind of be in the forefront on these issues. So I know I'll be there. I know Sean's probably going to be there. It's a great
If it's Monday
event.
night, I can make it. I've yet to go to one, so I can finally go to one. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can always watch it on. I do film it, and
I have seen that one. Yes.
Yep, there. I've done the last two, so there's a lot of information that can be obtained by that. But it's a great opportunity to learn from staff. The answers that I gave, that's who I get them from, is staff, and I can answer those questions freely at this point because they have educated me very well on the topic. So I will continue to ask those questions also. But Sean, great job. I appreciate it.
Hey, let's go again. Thank you to Mrs. Slay for letting us see a softer side of our athletic world. Not really, I should say softer. A prettier side. How's that? They're nice. They're nice people. The VPA, what a great program. I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank Teddy Deas for coming on last minute. Again, he had court issues. We got to thank him for letting him come here. So, John, I can't wait for next Tuesday. I want to thank everyone for watching us tonight. Thanks for all the people who commented. I'm going to say goodbye. Take care. It's the Bobcat Blitz. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank you.
This is John Rawlings and Sean Kirkpatrick saying thanks for watching, and please share and like the video. Have a great night. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye now.